Welcome back to Just Start. I'm Juan with Astro Flip. Today we got on Jaziel Castaneda, and he is a photographer. We're looking at a lot of his stuff on here. I'll make sure to pop up some of my favorite pictures from him right here. But yeah, he's a sports photographer, and from what I can tell, he's on the level that I'm trying to get to. So go ahead and introduce yourself, man.
Hey guys, hey everybody. My name's Jaziel Castaneda. I appreciate the invite. Juan for having me on here. It's honestly pretty cool and an honor. Honestly, it's my first podcast ever being on, so I mean, it's pretty sick to just chat with them, the creative, and just being able to have cool conversations on just like workflows and other things and what really inspires us to chase our dreams and chase our visions. It's really amazing.
So we talked a little bit beforehand, and I had some questions and stuff. And this is a question I guess I'm trying to work on curating a little bit because um, I think the first question I asked was like, do you have like a specific favorite influence? And
Hmm.
it's a pretty loaded question. I feel like everything that I want to create, everything that I'm looking at towards creating, is kind of a culmination of everything I've ever seen before, everything I've experienced. Things that I think are cool, my collection of my tastes and the people around me.
Hmm.
Um, and that was kind of like your response. So then I think I asked a better question, I think, because I got a way more in-depth response here.
Yeah.
Do you have any artists or art pieces that push you to be a bit creative? And you gave me a lot. And I think that, I know a few of these names, but, tell me a little bit more about how John Bellion's kind of story, how he produced the music against finding a label. Like, what does that mean to you?
Oh yeah. John Bellion is a pretty cool artist. I mean, for those people that don't know, John Bellion is actually uh a guy that wrote a bunch of his songs for probably some of y'all's favorite artists. I mean, Justin Bieber, Julia Michaels, just to name a few. He's written some of these songs for these people. And he kind of had this issue with labels to where like he signed a contract with the label, they're forcing him to make music. And then he realized that, the industry was just kind of like messed up, I guess, in terms of just like writing music and producing music and writing songs as an artist. And so he waited 6 long years in order to write out his contract and then, wrap it up and then become an independent artist. And just the patience and the music that he's doing now and the patience that it took to be able to make what he wants to make just kind of speaks volumes to sometimes you have to kind of stay patient with the process. You kind of have to, just go through the trials and tribulations of, hey, I'm not where I want to be right now. However, if I see it through, like it'll be better than I can imagine. And John Bellion going through that whole process, and now, with his upcoming new album, which I think he's going to release as an independent artist, it's really inspiring because he has really good music. I mean, if you listen to his music from like 2016, 2017, it's good music, but now it's like it's really him. It's not like somebody telling him, "Hey, you have to make a hit song," or "Hey, you have to do this, you have to do that." It's like strictly just him, no restrictions, just whatever he wants to make. And I think that's such an enjoyable experience as a creative when you get to create the content and whatever your outlet is. Having no restrictions on it and just having fun with it is like the best art, in my opinion.
Yeah, it kind of speaks to like what I think it means to really, be creative. I think there's a place to be, marketable and make things that will sell for sure. But whenever that's the entirety of it, there definitely is. It feels like something lost a little bit, and it's fortunately like okay. So to give you something, like my current favorite artist right now, it's like Lil Yachty, and it's mainly because his last album, like Let's Start Here, was a complete 180 on what he's ever done before, and it's mind blowing. It's insane, and like
Hmm.
I absolutely love it. So like I think it's like awesome whenever you get to make the things that you want. And you don't, the pressure isn't there to be like, hey. I think you'd probably have to make it to a certain point to where it's like, I've made all the accolades, I've made my name in this industry, and now I can make the things that I want to make. Is what it seems like from the like what it feels like an outsider looking in. So I'll be checking that album out for sure, just because you mentioned it. And I want to see what you got like what he's got to say for sure.
Hmm.
Um, so I guess what I see when I'm looking at your stuff and I'm interested in talking to you, right?
Hmm.
I really want to get into photography. And so
Hmm.
I've been playing around with editing on Photoshop for a few years now. I mean, I was starting off in the gutters, man. I can show you something like that I try to cook up, trying to make something
Yeah, yeah.
initially, but it's really not worth it. But anyway, so I wanted to, and that's been fun. It's been a lot of fun for sure. But I wanted to take
Hmm.
I want to take a like more intentional approach to editing and shooting. Um,
Hmm.
whenever you go about it, like I see your pictures here, like what's some of your tips you have for that? To, like more intentional shots, I guess.
I feel like probably because I've had people come up to me and say, "Hey, I want to do photography. Just do this, do that, whatever. How do I do?" I'm like, the biggest thing I could say to someone is like, just do it. Like, you can have a baseline, a map, a roadmap of what you want to do, what you accomplish, but it really is up to you to kind of test the waters and see what you really like. Because I started taking pictures in 2020, and I remember I bought my first camera. It was a Sony 6400, and I did like 6 months of research leading up to this. Like, no kidding. I was every day Googling, YouTubing, like everything, right? I bought the camera. First thing I did was like, let me go downtown and take some pictures, right? And in my head, I had a vision of what I wanted to take, but little did I know that it was gonna set me on a path that was gonna develop like taste and visions and stuff like later on, you know? And
Mhm.
so in my head, I was like, I did this, and then, the opportunities just came up out of nowhere, and it kind of starts developing and investing, because if you look at my Instagram, you look at some of those pictures from like 2020, dude, I'm gonna tell you right now, they're trash.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
They're so bad. But, it's the fact that I was doing something new. I was trying sports photography. My brother was like on the JV soccer team at the time. I was taking pictures. The shot selection was bad, but I was just out there doing things, right? And every time I finish a game, I'd be like, all right, let me review the shots. Oh, I like this one. I like this one. I don't like it. And then, go out to another game, take pictures, take more pictures. And then little by little, I started framing, I guess, an idea or a mindset of, okay, this is what I'm looking for. This is what I like from the sport. And just started like building upon like a foundation of, okay, I like sports, but what exactly am I looking into? And then little by little, it just bricks, 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 bricks. And then before you knew it, it was like, okay, like this is what I like to do. This is my go-to routine, and this is what I get. And you know, it's just a matter of, starting the process, figuring it out, and then just trying things. It's a trial and error.
Just start every time. That's good. And
Exactly.
that's awesome. That's awesome. That's great to know. I've been like also taking pictures just like when I'm out and about, going around places. This last weekend I went to DC. Got to go out there, had a great time, taking pictures all
Heck yeah.
everywhere. A bunch of pictures came out super sick. A bunch of them did not. And so like I'm trying to make them look less edit bombed, I guess. Like just to like, try to like make more
Hmm.
realistic looking pictures, I guess. At least some of them,
Yeah.
anyways. So
Hmm.
that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I guess because I see what you're saying, especially when I first started taking pictures as well. I don't have a fancy camera, which is I'm shooting off my iPhone. And
Yeah.
but yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Okay, cool. That kind of falls into my next question, I guess. Whenever you're taking these shots, like whenever you decide to go out shooting, what
Hmm.
are you like constantly shooting? Like what does that process look like? Are you like hunched over a camera? Do you have like 4,000 pictures at the end of a game? Like what?
Brother, trust me, like I kid you not, I overshoot everything. If
Yeah.
I'm out and about with friends or I'm at a sporting event or whatever, I'm overshooting because to me it's like a security blanket. And I know people say, "Oh, don't just like spray and shoot and do this or do that," but to me, I'm like, I'd rather cover all my bases and then have leftover pictures and then be like, okay, I can have a bigger batch to select from then. Well, I took like a few pictures and then I don't have what I want?
For sure.
And so to me, it's just one of those things where it's like, dude, I just try to shoot everything. And it's so hard to get in the mindset of like recording and taking pictures of everything because I mean, we live in a day and age where, we have iPhones and sometimes your iPhone takes better pictures than your camera. So it's like the fact of just like being on the lookout of like, oh, this might be a cool shot or this might be cool, sick or whatever. And just like start taking pictures kind of gets you to the flow of things of like, okay, I'm just always ready. Something happens. It's like I have the shot, right? And on my Instagram, I have a few of those shots where it's like money shots of like, players dunking the basketball, like soccer players, football players doing like crazy catches or crazy tackles. And it's just like always being prepared and just kind of being antsy, waiting to see what happens. But you also have to be okay with, I'm not always going to get that next shot. I'm not always going to get that money shot. So it's like, you have to be okay with, I'm going to miss a bunch of shots. I'm going to miss a bunch of pictures. I'm going to miss a bunch of things that I want to see, but there's always going to be a next one. There's always going to be a next one, right? And so that's just kind of the mentality of being able to, be on the lookout for the shots, but then also just accepting that you're not going to capture everything and just being out there and just enjoying what you want to do.
Yeah, I think you just gotta keep shooting, man. Like from what I've seen, what I've experienced from like every person I've seen who's made it, they don't have the fear of like, it's not everything they can't all be hits. They cannot all be hits.
Hmm.
And that's something I'm really trying to get over. Like, I used to be a super perfectionist, and I probably swung the pendulum swung way too far in the other direction now.
Hmm.
But like, yeah, for sure. That's awesome. So I guess I also wanted to say this really fast because I remember playing football when I was in high
Hmm.
school. And after the game, obviously you want to, your team wants to do well. You're like,
Hmm.
either super pumped or super sulking really bad about the whole thing. But afterwards, you'd be like, all right, dude, let's see like what everyone got. Scrolling
Hmm.
everything, dude. And I just gotta say, first and foremost, like over everything, dude. Like I think it's just like super great that you're doing this. Like you're reaching a lot of kids and you're making them feel seen. So that's awesome. Like I really gotta
Yeah.
hats off to you. Not hats off my head. I got a haircut,
Yeah.
coming up. But like
Yeah,
you
nah.
feel what I'm saying.
Appreciate
How's
it.
it feel?
Appreciate it.
I feel like there's I don't know if you want to say anything to that, but like I feel like it's a super cool position to be in to be able to have a lot of people being able to be looking forward to your content in that kind of way or your art and stuff. So
Yeah, it's a pretty sick feeling. I mean, growing up, because I graduated high school in 2018. Like, yes, I know I'm old, you know. But growing up, it was always like, elementary school. My transition from elementary school to middle school, elementary school started getting a bunch of cool stuff, right? They're like renovations and new playgrounds or whatever, right? Middle school, go through it, whatever. And then my transition from middle school to high school, they're like, oh yeah, we're building a new campus, right? For like the middle school. And I'm like, dude, like, what's up with this? I just, go by, and then as soon as I leave, they start building new stuff, right?
yeah.
Same thing in high school. I go there my freshman year. Senior year, I walk the stage and everything, and then, I think I drove by that summer, and they're like tearing down a bunch of like dirt, and like they're just building a new like tennis center and this and this and that. And I'm like, bro, why does that happen after like I graduate, go to AC, get my associates, I go to WT, and then they start getting renovations for their gym and doing this. They bring back baseball and everything. I'm like, bro, am I just like missing like everything? It feels like I'm just like walking by, and they're like, all right, after you, it's like people are gonna get new stuff, right?
You're the last
And so
guy
in a
after that.
way,
Keep going. Yeah.
exactly. And so it feels like in a way, I wish I would have had some cool experience like that. Because I'm not gonna lie, I was terrible at sports. I was trash. I played baseball growing up, did not get a single hit. If I got on bases because I was like walked on base, never got a hit. Soccer, I was just terrible, terrible coordination. But I always like love sports, and I kind of had avoided my heart of like, oh, I wanted to experience sports like at a high level, right? And photography kind of brought me close to that. And once I started getting like, closer to the sport and seeing the athletes and seeing their trials and tribulations and stuff like that, I was like, I wish somebody would have done that for me, or I wish I would have had that experience. So I was like, I'm gonna provide that for them, right? So I'm getting these cool pictures of like high school games. Then people are tagging me, DMing me, and they're like, "Yo, did you get pictures of me at the game? Did you do this? Did you do that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, dude, I did." And then for them to like post it on their Instagram, I'm like, "Bro, that's so sick!" Like the fact that I can like, make their day because maybe they're having like, you know, a bad influence in their life or something, and maybe I could change their life or trajectory for them to be like better people, or for them to be inspired to be better at all. It's like it's just an amazing feeling that I've like, okay, I kind of had a positive impact on their life, and hopefully I can just keep that up, man, because it's kind of cool just seeing people smile. It's such a blessing.
Absolutely, dude. It's like you're saying, it was a great like little boost. It was a great boost to be like, oh, like you got my picture sick, and being like, I'm gonna share this. Like people gotta see this. Like I'm doing my thing. People recognize it, and I think it's really cool. It's like that's what I'm trying to do here. Recognize people doing their thing. So,
Yeah, man,
um,
it's appreciated.
of course, man, it's a great circle. It's all a great circle. What does it look like getting permissions to shoot these events? Do you have to get special like special press passes for this stuff, or are you like just like pulling up with the camera and be like, all right, I'm taking pictures now? Like what's that look like?
I will say from experience now, it really does depend. Because say you go to high school games, parents are out there. It's kind of like restrictions, just like almost none. At least for football, maybe just a little bit. But other sports, I mean, they really don't care. You show up with a camera, they're like, "Oh, you're taking pictures," because like sometimes other sports don't get the recognition like football does. But from my experience, high school sports and stuff is just very unrestricted. College is a little bit different. That's when you kind of have to start reaching to like athletic directors or just like media people saying, "Hey, can I cover the game?" Or "Hey, I'm a student. I'm just doing this or whatever," right? And it kind of starts bringing the importance of connections, right? And then to shoot pro games, like you have to have a media outlet that you're covering for. Otherwise, they just won't let you get into the game, right? And so once you start knowing people in the industry, start getting affiliated, start working with these people, start building trust and connections, then they'll lead you to where you want to go, right? And so I was fortunate enough to have a few connections. One of them was actually a local photographer. Shout out to her. Her name's Emily. I think she's from Dumas. Amazing photographer. Right now, I think she's currently the minor league baseball photographer, like the Sod Poodles. Amazing work. Amazing work. Her inspiration, like, is amazing. And she actually started bursting onto the pro scene, I think like a few years ago, maybe like 2, 3 years ago. And she's been on some serious games. Like I think she was at the Mexico versus Brazil game last year. She's been to like a few pro games and stuff like that. And so, getting into contact with some of those people and just saying, hey, like, can you help me out? Do you know who to reach out to? And for her to be just with like open arms and saying, oh yeah, man, absolutely. Like reach out to these people, build a portfolio, do this, do that. It speaks volumes to like the people that are in this industry because a lot of times I guess the misconception of having people that are just kind of gatekeeping you're saying, oh yeah, like, oh, I don't know, or just like, I'm gonna keep this for me. It's like, instead, it's like you find people that are just willing that, like, hey man, like, yeah, like contact this person. This person got me through. I can vouch for you, do this or do that and stuff. So it's a matter of building connections once you want to start getting to the higher level. But it's like going back to what we said, it's like just starting to shoot, pick up your camera, go out there, family events, sporting events, high school, whatever, just start building a portfolio, and then from there, slowly but surely, you're gonna start building that quality, and then doors are gonna open.
That's awesome. I was looking around, yeah, because I think you mentioned you said Elisa right from Dumas. I think I went to high school with her
Yeah. Yes.
actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah. I graduated 2018 as well, so that's crazy. Cool. I forgot that, like that she was doing this. I gotta reach out to her as well.
Yeah. Shout
But
out to her, man. She's amazing.
yeah, yeah. She started doing her stuff just after I got out of high school. I remember seeing her stuff like, oh, this is really cool. Connections, like that's another thing, I guess. Like trying to reach out to the people and make connections and trust is a big part of that, I guess. Trying
Hmm.
to make sure people are displayed in a great light and trying to make sure they're not like let down whenever you do stuff, and that's huge. That's huge. Um, Cool. Great, great. Like another great and a great thing to know for sure. That's what
Hmm.
I mean. That's how I was able to reach out to, a few more people. I think that I first started off this whole thing just like trying to talk to like one person, and then I realized, oh, I know another guy who's doing this stuff with Jordan, and then Jordan put me with connection with another person, and Jordan around me here as well.
Yeah.
So I got some more
Hmm.
people I got to reach out to for sure. But
Yeah.
it's a great thing to know people, man.
Yeah. It really is,
Um,
man. It opens doors.
it opens doors. It opens doors. So I saw like are you a big Messi fan at all? Or is he just like one of the bigger stars you got to shoot?
Yeah, that was actually it was such a funny story on how that happened. I'll actually tell you a story on how that happened.
Please.
So I mean, me and my brother, like, we grew up and we're like, Barca fan. I'm a Barca fan, Barcelona fan. My brother's a Real Madrid. So growing up, seeing the rivalry of Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi, having all these games and stuff, like, it was amazing. And then just kind of seeing them finally, like, all right, like, we're leaving our clubs, we're getting toward the end of our career, whatever. Cool. And it was funny because I think it was in February. He hits me up, and like, my brother works at Sam's, right? So he's like chilling. He has a couple buddies out there. He's like, "Yo, like, wanna go see Messi like in Kansas City, right?" And I was like, "Yo, I could do that." And I was like, "Wait a minute." I was like, "I think I could get a pass for this." I was like, "Hold up." I was like, "Let me ask around." So I asked around, and we were making this plan of like, oh yeah, his friends are gonna go see the game. I'm gonna take pictures. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do that. The long story short, I got approved for the game, and then all of my brother's friends, like, they dipped last minute. They're like, oh, I can't. I have work. I have this, whatever. So I was like, you know what? Working vacation for me and my family, right? So we just took a trip up there. Did I kid you not? Like, shout out to all the people that live in Kansas. I don't have anything against Kansas. But gosh darn it, dude, it's so freaking cold. It was 12 degrees when we were at the game, man. I was freezing. It was it was terrible. It was so bad. They had a snowstorm. They delayed the game because it was supposed to be a Tuesday. I stayed there an extra day. Shot the game on a Wednesday. They came back a Thursday, and I was like, bro, I was miserable the whole time. I'm not gonna lie, it was bad. I couldn't feel my toes. But I mean, I saw my childhood heroes, like Messi is obviously like, the biggest one, arguably the best player of our generation. But seeing some other Barcelona players like Luis Suarez and Sergio Busquets, I was like, dude, like the dream
They
come
all,
true, man. So I was like, I enjoyed it, but I definitely wouldn't go back again and shoot at like a 12-degree weather because it sucked.
they all play for Inter Miami. All three of them.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Crazy,
think Jordi Alba
crazy.
plays there too. He was just I think he was not banned, but he had like a 1 match suspension where he couldn't play that game. And it was a Champions League game. I didn't even know. I thought it was just a regular MLS game. It was like, no, it's a Champions League Cup. I think I have the little badge for it. This is what I got at the game, you know.
Oh shit,
So,
that's pretty
so it
sick.
says CONCACAF Champions Cup and everything. And dude, when I tell you I couldn't feel my toes, like I was literally sitting there the whole time. Dude, one of my cameras like kept turning off. Like the battery was just bad, and I had like 3 spare batteries. Had a portable charger, and I was plugging it in. It turned off mid game. I like plug it back in, dude. It was a terrible time, but man, I got some sick shots.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, they look great. They actually they look really really good.
Thank you,
That
thank
cold,
you.
man. You're sitting there not doing much. That cold will kill you every time.
It will,
Um,
man.
where you getting like the like? Do you have like any specific tutorials you can point to like to make these pictures like pop more like little like for me for
Yeah,
like
yeah.
they look cinematic. They look cinematic like as hell.
Thank you, thank you. And you know what? Yeah, like I don't gatekeep. I like to share my information and stuff. And obviously, I'm a big person that vouches for like, hey, like learn how to do things first before you take any shortcuts. In this particular case, it's like presets in Lightroom are a great starting point. Don't
Okay.
make that just your like, because it's so easy to get lost in presets where like you drop a preset and you're like the picture already looks good and just like export it. But it's like really spend the time to know what each slider does, how you can manipulate the colors and stuff. But presets are a game changer. And to me, the one I'm gonna put y'all on is the Peter McKinnon V4 presets that he had. Dude, those are like my go-to automatically. I have a few of those that I just take a picture, put it in there, and I just mess with the sliders, and I'm like, dude, they look so cinematic. It makes it so easier to have a better starting point than just starting from scratch and trying to figure out. Like you save so much time editing. So
Yeah.
presets would be the way to go, man.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, these look great. Like I've been trying to mess with the color balance as well, and like mess with the what do you call it, the highlights and then the shadows and
Hmm.
stuff. And I have a general idea what these words mean, but like overall, it's like just I'm like a kid playing with like
Yeah.
nuclear physics or something. It's messed up.
Yeah,
Um,
man. I mean, messing around is the best way to find out.
absolutely,
Click around and
absolutely.
find out.
Fuck around and find out. Fuck around and find out for sure. Do you have a favorite sport to shoot? Like you said, you grew up playing baseball. You're a fan of soccer. You watch some football. Like, what's your favorite sport to shoot?
Oh man, that's a tough one because I mean each sport has like its meat and potatoes. What really makes it special, right? Like football, having that interception or having that crazy touchdown. I mean that's amazing, right? Baseball is really cool when you get a hit or someone stealing a base. Soccer is obviously when you see like the full body shots or them just like walking by and getting those kind of like standstills of them posing. Really amazing. Basketball when it's a breakaway to dunk or something. It's just I don't know if I had to pick one, I'd probably say soccer just because I mean magic happens, right? You could be 0-0 the whole game, then last minute corner kick, boom, someone scores a goal. Everybody starts going towards like the corner that you're sitting in. You're just taking a bunch of flicks and everybody just going crazy. Like it's amazing. I think that's my favorite sport to shoot, but honestly, like every sport has its magic. So it's always been a pleasant experience getting to shoot any sport, in my opinion, because it's just kind of helps you get into the rhythm of like oh, this is what I have to do for baseball. This is what I have to do for basketball. This is what I have to do for soccer, for football. And once you do that, you're kind of like, all right, this is kind of fun. So I'll
I was
definitely
gonna
say
ask you.
soccer.
You probably develop like some sort of like eye for each like individual sport. I bet like just like okay, like I'm watching here. Like okay, now I'm seeing like another thing happen. Like this is about to happen. You got a whole thing. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Hmm.
Those were kind of like the bulk of my questions, I guess.
Hmm.
Thank you so much for taking some time. I said like I said again. Yeah, dude. Thank you so much for coming. Do you have anything like you're working on that you're excited to, you're gonna take any trips anytime soon that we can like be looking forward towards?
At least this summer, a goal is to go to the Gold Cup. I mean, next year's the World Cup, so that's ultimately the goal. I mean, World Cup is like everybody's dream. I grew up watching it on TV, seeing the United States and Mexico just lose. kind of sucks, but like I'm finally being part of like a generation that's like, all right, all the people I grew up watching, they're kind of out of the game. New up and coming talent. I mean, sometimes it's so funny because you're taking pictures of like athletes, right? MLS, for example. I think I was in like FC Dallas, like my first game, and I was taking pictures, and I was like, dude, I think I know that guy. I was like looking him up on my phone. I was like, dude, he's like 18, bro. I was like, that's crazy to think about. I was like, dude, I think I was 23 at the time, 24. And I was like, bro, it's so crazy to see like kind of where people are at life sometimes. I'm like, buddy's 18 playing professional soccer. I was like, what was I doing at 18? I was like, dude, I think I was just graduating high school.
I was just hanging out, bro. Dude, talk about like Lamine Yamal, bro. Dude, like that dude is insane. Dude, he got that suit, like that max contract he got, like crazy, insane. What? He's 17 or something like that.
17, man. Like, what were we doing at 17, man? What were we doing? You feel me?
Studying physics or like chemistry or something. I don't know. He's
Bro,
gonna
just
figure it
like
out.
living life.
Yeah,
Literally, man.
yeah.
I actually do have a question for you, man.
Shoot.
I got to see a little bit of your podcast and stuff, and I thought it was pretty cool, some of your questions that you have. Like, what is what is one thing that you're like looking forward to, I guess, and like the end goal of what your whole project is, right? Say, I mean, you have the podcast, you're bringing in light, to all these creatives, and you're gonna take pieces of information and like build your own path and stuff like that. But what is it that's like most exciting of like, I guess, the journey or the idea of like, hey, I'm getting all these people together and I'm taking all this advice. Like, what is it that you're looking the most forward to, you know?
That's that's a great question. That's really cool. Thanks for asking me that. Um,
Yeah, no problem,
yeah, like you said, I'm building my own path, to this thing. Um,
man.
I think it's also a great chance to like, kind of meet people, kind of network, trying to like figure out like what works, what doesn't work. Um, but ultimately on this path, like I want to build like a life from which I can afford, make a living off this thing. Like I don't want to have to worry
Hmm.
about money being a problem. I don't want to have to worry about, my family, doing these things, and I really think I could get there. But I can't do it
Hmm.
by myself, and I need people to learn from and to be a part of, and to also be a part of their life and be a part of their story, and hopefully shine some light on them. And at the end of the day, it's a community, and at the end of it, at the end of all that, like I just want to be part of a community that's like making stuff, making cool stuff, and be like, hey, when I see my kids, like, yo, like, I met that person, he did this, like we talked here, I met her,
Hmm.
she did this, and like, I helped her maybe do this, and she helped me do this, and like, so
Hmm.
having the connection of people to be able to like, just be around like cool people who are doing cool stuff. That's the end of it. That's the end of it, and like,
Yeah.
be proud of like how far I made it because
Hmm.
there's times where I'm like really confused and lost and everything. But when I talk to people who are doing their thing, I realize we're all just humans, and I realize like we're all just like trying to make it work. But I I'm trying to build a life of more inclusion and a more involved life because I think whenever I was when I was 17, 18, what I was doing was being
Hmm.
like a brainless kid, and like not thinking for myself at all and being like, this is what
Yeah.
I'm gonna go do. I went to college and like
Hmm.
this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do.
Yeah.
And it just didn't pan out the way I wanted it to. And I realized I have the full power to change it as far as
Hmm.
I can. So I'm looking for people like that, man. I'm looking for people like that.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. Yeah. One thing I will say, it's like, I mean, at the end of the day, it's so crazy to see how like technology has evolved as well. And I feel like to me, at the beginning, I was like, oh, like I'm taking pictures of this, taking pictures of that. But now I can look back on like my 4 years, 5 years of photography, and I'm like, in a way, I'm documenting my life. Like it's like different phases of, if I see a certain, batch of pictures on my Instagram, I'm like, I remember where exactly I was at that point in time where I was like, creatively, mentally, physically, spiritually, like I can see all that, right? And you can see the progression of, going from this to this to this. And I was like, dude, that is so amazing to just capture progress, like you say, right? And I heard somebody say one time, it was like pictures are just kind of like snapping or freezing a moment in time, right? And sometimes like you immortalize certain things in someone's life or your life through a picture, and it's like, bro, that has no value in my opinion. Something so special that you're like, I remember doing this specific time. here's a cool shot. And it's like the emotion that it brings and you reliving it is such an amazing thing, man. So, kudos to you for doing all this stuff, man. It's amazing to see people like you just like doing stuff like this, right? Because it's inspiring. Like creatives feed off of each other, right? And so it's so cool seeing somebody take a different approach as to like, hey, this is my journey, but I'm going about it this way. And even then, like I can learn things from you and inspire me to be better. And that's like so sick that we just feed off of like a community that's just like, hey, I do this, and five people are like, I want to try that. And then it works out for me, or it works out for everybody. It's like, all right, like let me do this, let me do that. Just sharing ideas, sharing, passion, like you're saying, like struggles too. Sometimes like I find myself in a rut too. I sometimes I don't want to shoot. Sometimes I'm like, bro, this is crazy. I feel like I'm just repeating the same shots, doing this, doing that. But it's kind of like finding and rebuilding yourself. That's the fun part. At least for me, it is. So it's like, okay, I've done this. I'm feeling kind of saturated. Let me change this up. Let me change this up. And it's like constantly evolving. Because if you're not evolving, I feel like you're not doing something right. So it's
Yeah.
always like going forward, dude.
Push the envelope. I agree, dude. I think taking pictures is super important. Like you said, you get to capture a moment in time, and moments where I take pictures. Like I know I have a whole like side account that I stopped uploading because it took too much energy. But I was taking pictures of just like my everyday life,
Hmm.
and I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. I was looking at times where like there's a time I think towards the beginning of it where I was like going through a breakup. I feel every single moment of that. Like it sucks, but like I look at like that was a real picture I took, a real feeling, and like, all right,
Hmm.
and then I move on, like, okay, life's better, life's better. I'm my own person. Like things are
Hmm.
great, it's a beautiful kind of thing. It's a beautiful kind of form of expression, I think. And even though you're just taking a picture of someone else doing something, like you're putting
Hmm.
your own kind of this is what I saw, and that's awesome,
Hmm.
dude. So thank you again for your time on here, man. I really appreciate it. I hope that this is not the last I talk to you, and we got to talk some more. Um,
Hmm.
thanks for coming on here, man.
Yeah, I
Talk.
appreciate the invite, man. And like, whatever you need, you already have me on Instagram, bro. Just shoot me a DM, bro. I'm open, like I'm out here just trying to help other people. I felt, a few of my friends and stuff like that, so I'm just open, man.
Say, man. Thanks for coming on here, man.